Welcome to the latest edition of Brooklyn Bound. I am Felipe with Dan of the Arm and also High Places.
We started in 2006 after we had met through this guy, Bo Blasco of the Death Set. And he was roadieing for Japanther at the time. Mary came to New York to take a bassoon lesson because she's a bassoonist. And we were all hanging out and Bo introduced us, and then we were like, we both had just started solo projects, and we both felt kind of on the fence about where they could go. And basically we heard each other's things and just thought, why don't we just smash them together? We played our second Brooklyn show in 2 days. We played one night, and then the next day we played here during the day, and you guys just opened.
In this very shop?
Yeah, in the other room. Dan was in Australia, came over with the Death Set when they moved over from the Gold Coast, Australia. So it was like when I met Dan and Bo and Johnny from the Death Set is basically kind of when this whole thing basically happened. My background is all printmaking. Like that's what I studied in school. I used to teach it at Pratt. And Dan kind of moved here. That was kind of like, and actually undergrad when I was in Philadelphia, I did do a lot of letterpress at the school I went to because they had the facilities for it. And it's sort of something that's hard to come by in this day and age. It's rare, more rare and more rare.
Is it ever especially crowded, or is it usually, pretty chill, you can move around?
Well, our Sunday classes get pretty intense. We have 12 people in those, and myself and an assistant.
Right, you're running classes out of the shop, right?
Right, yeah. We teach people to use all of our machines here, and then make the facilities available to them for their own projects.
And we actually pressed our first 7-inch covers.
Bring them over and run them through my print.
That was the lead, yeah. We basically were like, okay, we just made 307 inches, we have to print covers. So we printed them in a process. I mean, it's basically, we printed it, it was an etching type, but we printed it relief, which is two different processes sort of. It's a different way of printing an etched plate. And it was oil-based ink, and it takes a long time to dry because it's a really thick layer of ink. We were like leaving for tour like the next day, and Dan
typical High Places style.
Dan's the only person I know with actual print dryer, which basically is essentially it's a heat dryer for drying oil-based ink. So we were here like for like all day, just like multiple running them through. Like paper was all curling up because we were doing it too fast.
And then we were tearing all the edges.
It smelled terrible.
Yeah, it smelled like burn. Yeah.
But also selling those records, I always felt like crying a little bit each time someone bought it, because I'm like, you don't understand.
What's more difficult, printing artwork or making music?
I think the way we make music is pretty laborious too, because we also build up layers. Like I studied music and Rob studied art making, and the world Dan comes from, and our friends like Death Set, Japanther, Matt and Kim, all these bands we kind of started playing with and kind of inspired us early on. Everyone sort of has this visual art music crossover, and
all printmakers too.
Yeah, and I think that we all sort of approach both things in a similar way, where it's about textures and layers and just sort of spontaneous ideas. And Rob's really inspired me a lot with the way he thinks about music, because it's not from a classically trained background. It's just from purely aesthetic and with a really good ear.
It was basically I was making music the same way I would use a photocopier to make a collage or make a zine or something when I was a teenager.
Yeah, and it had a similar sort of purpose, I guess, just to play for our friends and have fun.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, printmaking for me was always about just give people, your friends, people important to you, like artwork you made. And then music, when we started, everything was becoming digital and easy to reproduce, and it just was we were still making 7 inches, but we could still just give CDRs with with a zine. I mean, a lot of times some kid will come up to a show and be like, I got a zine of yours that you made in 2004 or something, and you're like, whoa, really? It's
collectibles.
Yeah, it's just people hold on to that stuff where they absorb it and they kind of reprocess it, and that's why prints are awesome, and it's why making music to me it really relates to my printmaking background.